What is up, Retro Maniacs? Welcome to Retro Card Chat Podcast. My name is Mike, and I'm from Mike's Retro Trading Cards. And in the spirit of the season, I've written a little poem to share this Christmas joy with all of the world. And it goes a little something like this. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to host a podcast with EP and Joe Day.
Oh, fantastic.
How you doing, guys?
Wow, dude.
But I
Came up with that all by myself.
I got to admit, I knew where you're going after I heard way.
No,
I'm like, I'm
not
gonna,
a
I'm
whole
gonna be in
lot
there.
else in this podcast gonna rhyme
Sick.
with way. Yeah,
The second week in a row, Mike is here doing the Jordan flu, playing the Jordan flu game in the podcast. And
I am.
not only is he here playing, but he wrote a poem and read the poem during the
It's
intro.
45 points
did,
right
yeah.
there.
Yep.
Written and performed by Mike from Mike's Retro Trading Cards.
Now, you used to be in a band, Mike. I'm a little upset that you didn't have some accompaniment with that.
I honestly thought about bringing my little MIDI controller piano up here and play the notes, but I just didn't have time to make that happen. But
we would have had to shut the podcast down after that.
I know we probably would have gotten like dinged on YouTube or something for like copyright infringement anyway. But yeah, I apologize in advance for the voice. I don't have all of my voice with me this week, but we're gonna try to get through this and just try to tough it out, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tough it out with beer. How about you, EP?
Yeah. Yep.
I think we're drinking the same thing.
Inspired by Joe Day from last week.
Where's mine?
It's on the way, Mike. It's Amazon dropping it off. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
I'll be there in a little bit. Cheers, EP. Michael.
Cheers.
I have nothing, but yeah. You guys enjoy?
Ooh, tasty.
So, if it's first time here watching the podcast, we, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. We're three guys that just like to talk about cards and kind of feel like we're hanging out in my old shop, and we appreciate the people that do watch. Let's
loyal. We have some loyal viewers.
We actually do, which is kind of crazy that people like to watch us talk. But hey, we thank them, and let's get into it. I want to start off this week. We haven't talked about PSA enough the last couple of weeks. We had the Matt Turner PSA thing. We had the deal with Whatnot, I believe, last week. And this week, apparently, PSA lost a card, which, I know a little bit about that happening. And what I didn't know about is PSA wanting the person who had their card lost to sign an NDA to not speak about the situation once they refunded him. Ty over at Bench Clear Media, and I'll try to link the videos down at the bottom. He had sent in a Trey Lance card to PSA, and when he got the order back, he got the wrong card back, which, it happens.
You see that happen a lot on YouTube.
Yeah, you do. But apparently they can't find his card at all. And they gave him a $250 grading credit for his inconvenience. But when he went to try to get the other thing taken care of, to try to get refunded for it, figure out what was going on, they told him, first of all, he had to send back the wrong card before they would do anything, which, first of all, in his video, he's like, that's a little weird. Like, I didn't do anything wrong.
That is not how hostage negotiations go.
No, typically not. But so he ended up doing that, and they got in touch with him. They initially had assigned a PSA 9 value to the card, which he said, how do you assign? He said 9. Yeah.
Oh, was it 9?
Yeah.
And it was like, how do you assign a value of a 9 when you don't even have a grade for the card? Like, how do you do that? And apparently he actually had the person say, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. And they ended up, with a price of $700 on it. He said, he thought that was fair. And he said they would refund the money, but he got an agreement in the mail that he had to sign. And he was reading over it. And part of the agreement was that he had to not speak or write about the situation after he got the refund. And he was like, I run a YouTube channel. I'm on here, like I talk about cards, and I've been telling people about this. I feel like I need to update them on what's going on. And then they actually said, well, okay, if you send any videos you do about it to us first to let us clear the video before you post it, then it's okay. Like, I don't know where you guys want to start with this one, but Joe, wherever you want to pick up on this, go ahead.
In the spirit of Christmas, this is like Christmas Vacation. PSA, the gift that keeps giving the whole year. They're the Jelly of the Month Club for Clark W. Griswold. My first things first. When I watched that video, dude, get inside. It looks so
by
cold
the by the end, he was like slurring his words. He must have been so cold. Like you could tell he was getting colder and colder.
I don't know. I don't understand
awesome, though.
the necessity to be outside, but okay, whatever. But in terms of the actual situation, we talked about this, and we might talk about some other aspects of this coming up. But do you think they sent him that NDA because they knew who he was? Or is that a standard?
They said it was they're not. He said, I can't. I want to change this. We can't change our standard contract or whatever.
Standard legal
document.
Because you never received anything, Mike. But they actually found your cards eventually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's so strange to me. Like, you screwed up, and you're almost making the person who you kind of screwed over. You're kind of making them feel like the bad guy here. That they have to go out and even talk about this. Like, first off, you should be giving them the max value of that card. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to assume that card's a 10 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't go out there. Like, if I send in could you imagine if someone sent in a Brady and they lost it? You're talking $10,000, $20,000 card.
I kind of know what it feels like, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, when you sent in that Brady, we knew it wasn't going to be a 10, the Bowman Chrome, but a 9 at that point was like an $8,000 card or something. Like, like, could you imagine the like, you have to assume the card is in the best condition it is, just to be a good business, and the fact that they start out with a 9, I guess. And then negotiated their way up. And also, last point, and I'll kick it over to you, EP, but you have to then assume that the guy is going to grade a ton with you. It was, what, 750 total in grading credit? Like, what if the guy has no other cards to grade? Like that, the money that he got in grading credit is not as valuable as the money he would have gotten selling the card on eBay, or maybe... I know it's shocking to hear some people actually collect cards and not just grade them to sell them. I mean, maybe he wanted that card really badly for his collection. I mean, it left a really sour taste in my mouth when we're going to give you $750, but it's going to be in store credit, and you're going to have to use it with PSA, which means you're going to have to send more cards to PSA, which, hey, we might lose. Who knows?
Right.
Let me jump in here. Sorry, EP, but
that's right.
And during my situation, they gave me, they refunded the grading fees and stuff that I had for the cards they had lost for about 2 months. Mm-hmm. And I had all these credits, but what they did to me was they expired them. I couldn't use them because these credits were out there when they were shut down, but those jerks, I'll edit my language, would not let me use the credit that they gave me, plus the credit that I was supposed to have for the Kobe Bryant that they damaged was supposed to automatically be on my account. And guess what? That didn't come off my bill either. So, are they even like, I don't think they're even letting people use the credit. Like, that was supposed to automatically be on my account for the Kobe Bryant card. It was only like $75, but if it was automatically a credit on my account, it should have automatically come off my bill. And I double checked and it didn't.
And it's non-transferable.
Yeah. And it's non-transferable. But like the other credits they gave me, like I wasn't even able to use them. And I even said, like, you were shut down, like, for most of this time. Like, I didn't have cards to send in at the $200 level to use this credit on. And they're like, well, they expire after 6 months. I'm like, screw you. Like, you weren't open. Like, how did my grading credits expire when you weren't open, your full service wasn't
a $19.99 Topps Chrome Tim Couch rookie card, $600 walkthrough level. You would have gotten like $50 off. I mean, in my mind, that's where you go. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
Go ahead, EP. I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in and share that little part of the story. Yeah.
No, that's good. That's what we want. I'm going to start with like two takes. First one, if you get an agreement, I don't care if you're playing Madden, if you're anything online, you got to read it. Like, I mean, this is the bottom line. Like, he did the right thing by reading this and saying, hey, like, this is going to affect me. This is this thing. And there are a lot of, especially probably now, in this day of YouTube and TikTok and all this stuff, there's going to be a lot more of those kinds of things in these documents. So you need to make sure to read these things before you go signing, just agreeing, just because you want to go play a game of Madden or use an application on your phone or whatever. The second thing I want to talk about is the absolute absurdly bad customer service from what is supposed to be a leader in this hobby, like a leader in what they're doing. Like, they are the top of the food chain. And I believe he said the first person that contacted him said, listen, we're trying to make sure we're trying to fix all of the customer service stuff, all of our troubles. And this was clearly an example where it seemed like it was like a just a bunch of errors, like, along the way, a bunch of like really bad customer service. Like, he experienced a lot of bad customer service again throughout the entire process, ending with this whole thing where he wasn't allowed to talk about it. He said, you know what, I'm going to give up the $700 just so I can tell you guys about this, because you guys need to know. I thought it was a great video.
And we mentioned it. I think I made the joke a couple of pods ago that, I mean, if PSA could buy out anything, they should buy out HGA's customer service. I mean, their customer service is great. And I get it, and again, I made the comment, it's kind of wild that they expand their company to these huge, open up a new facility and they're grading more and more and more cards. Did they not do something about their customer service? I mean, I think that's something we talk about over and over and over, not just our group, but we see it on Twitter all the time. People complaining about their customer service. Like, it's either people who don't know about cards or people who couldn't give two shits about your issue. Like, it's really, really disheartening that the front line of defense for a company like this is just so bad. Yeah. And they're not the ones who are writing the agreements. We get that. But I think a lot of the issues that PSA has would be alleviated if their customer service was better. Maybe we wouldn't get to certain points, and not specific to this story, but just in general with PSA. There are a lot of issues just strictly with their customer service that people lament about online pretty frequently.
Yeah, I watched a video by Neo this morning, and he was talking about the situation, and he actually said that he felt like PSA should have treated Ty from Bench Clear Media even better because he had a YouTube channel. Now, I don't agree with this. I feel like it's pretty simple. They should just treat everybody better. Like, they need to fix the situation. It's not about whether or not you have a YouTube channel or how big it is or whether or not you can post a video about it. Like, I guarantee you, no matter how many subscribers you have, if you post some kind of video about PSA losing your card or destroying your card, it's going to get views regardless, because I did the one about my Kobe Bryant card, 2 videos on it. I did the update after they fixed it. Both of those videos had over 1,000 views, and like, they were posted a long time ago. We don't have a ton of subscribers, but I don't even know if we had 100 back then. So, it gets out there. People are interested in finding this information out, and they should be, because people sending cards, they want to know what's going to happen if something happens. There are a lot of people like EP. I know you are like a little worried about sending your cards to a company, and they don't really do a whole lot to make you feel better about that, do they?
No, I lost my train of thought. As is typical. I've worked a lot of hours the last 2 weeks.
Wait, what? I'm shocked. You worked a lot of hours the last couple of
weeks? Never guessed that.
So we'll go back to that one eventually. Okay. But yeah, I mean, the part of I still have not signed up for PSA. I do not have an account with PSA. I don't have an account with any of the grading companies, even though grading and interests me, and I want to send more cards. I've through Joe, I was sending like the Mike Trout rookie card.
That's on eBay. And can they find that on eBay?
It's not on eBay yet, no. But I sent in like 3 cards through Joe, and I was happy with my results and everything. But I haven't signed up for any of them. And there's something about sending your cards away, and having to send them away and be a little bit worried about them being damaged and being like, what did you do to my card?
Yeah.
Especially when there's no guarantee. Like if you damage my card, I don't want $750 worth of credits. I want the value of the card. Just send me money. Because if it's either a PC card or a card I was going to sell. And the 3 of us, I mean, Mike, you absolutely send the most out of the 3 of us, EP the least. But if EP sent a card in, or I think I'm actually a better example. If I sent a card to PSA, which again, I said on the channel, I never would again. But if I sent a card to PSA and they damaged it or lost it, and they're like, well, we're going to give you $500 worth of credits to grade cards, I would be like, but I have very few cards I want to grade. I don't want that. I want something, I either want a replacement card, which I know they've done in the past. Alico 3 has mentioned that they've actually bought cards from him that they knew he had to replace a card they damaged, which is pretty wild. But like, that's what I would want. The 750 or whatever amount in credits does nothing for me. I'm not going to be scouring through my cards and trying to find something in the 6 months that they give me. I would probably ask you guys if you had things to send in and sell you spots. But I mean, that wouldn't be fair to you either, because you'd have to send them to me then. And there's all sorts of complicated issues there. I want to circle back though about Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics and his comments. I said this before. He used to be the voice of the collector, like the everyman, the average collector who's just kind of getting into this. And dude, you're a YouTube content creator and you're telling a major company that, let's be fair, if you're not a PSA fanboy, you're really, really close to it. And you're telling PSA that they should treat other YouTube content creators with a little bit better service and take care of them a little bit better than the average collector. That is, if I still subscribe to him, I would, that is when I would unsubscribe. I mean, that's just, and we're not a big channel and we have no influence over what he does or doesn't say, but I used to really like watching his stuff. He used to be the voice of the every collector, and I really don't feel like he is anymore. It feels like he's shilling for either PSA or shilling for other big time channels with that comment. That's rough to even hear,
Yeah. I mean, I guarantee no matter how many subscribers we ever have, we're not going to change like that, because that's not what we're about. Like, we get together every week consistently and do this podcast. And whether there's 1,000 people watching or 2 people watching or 0 watching, we have a lot of fun doing this. And, we say what we feel. You don't have to agree with it. It might not even be right. We might be wrong. It doesn't matter. But we're having the conversations we would have if we were standing in a card shop talking about this stuff. And that's who we are, who we're always going to be. Like, there's just,
or in Mike's dining room as 4 massive dogs are barking at us as we're trying to sit there and have a couple of beers. I mean, it doesn't matter. I would hope we would say the same. I mean, I did get that limo, obviously, once we hit.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely wouldn't, but like we collectively
you and
would,
EP maybe, but
definitely. But that's 2/3.
I wouldn't know all those commenters that are watching us now. Like, come on.
Okay, to close this up, though, I want to say, like, how do they lose a card with all of the video? Like, the cards I had, lost for like 2 months, they found within 24 hours once the right person got on the case. Like, they know what happened to it. I guarantee you they know what happened to the card.
Yeah.
Why aren't they transparent about where the card is? Did they send it to another person?
And the other person said, no, I'm going to keep it.
Yeah. Like, let them know.
He even said in the video that they check their security cameras to see if they can figure out what happened to it. Like, I mean, so like they have, like they probably can, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing they have a chain where you can see when the card moved from this level to this level. And then you can see, like, and probably they can watch the security cameras at that time when it moved from that level to that level, and maybe even see the card as somebody's going through them. Like, there's probably that level of security.
That's how they found mine. Yeah. So
if you can't, why are you a company? Like, if there aren't cameras watching the process every step of the way, because this was a $500 card where they're estimating in value. They serve well beyond $500 cards. And I'm guessing like the big ones, like the mantles and stuff, they go to a whole separate secret room with 25 cameras on it and things like that. But I'm sure there are cards in between, right? There are cards in between that $500 card and that $10 million card that they need to know where they're at. And if it's like, it's not a big enough card that someone pocketed. I think at the end of the day, what happened is they sent it to the wrong person, and the wrong person said, I never got it. And then they just kept it.
Or did somebody damage it and they just don't want to admit it or something? I mean, I guess they would probably admit that, right? Like, I guess
I don't know that they would.
I'd love the real story. Is someone going to be cleaning? Is someone going to be mopping the floors one night at PSA and they see a Trey Lance sitting there like, oh, that's floor. Cool. I wonder how that happened.
Fell behind the desk. They didn't find it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we're not really fanboys of any grading companies. I'll use PSA. I'll talk positively about PSA. I'll talk negatively about PSA, but the PSA fanboys need to come up with a different reason why PSA is best other than they're worth more. You need to look at this stuff and maybe demand a little more from them. Don't let them, they are the corporate face of this hobby, like the grading industry. They're now the big corporation that's pretty much, well, you know what, people are going to use this regardless of what you're doing. So deal with it kind of people. And we deserve better than that. And like, you have a lot of options to send your cards out. Like, maybe hold them more accountable than you do just because they're worth more. There's no reason they should be worth more. Like, I can cite you example after example after example how they're no better than any other company. They're probably worse. They have more people working for them, more different eyes subjectively grading cards. And
whoa. I was called clueless for saying grading is subjective.
Yes, you've mentioned that a time.
I might have mentioned that once or twice, but I mean, you're completely right. I mean, the consistency is going to be worse. It's just the law of numbers. I mean, if you have 1,000 people looking at cards, they're not going to come out the same. They're not going to have the consistency that, a smaller group like SGC has. And that's not even me fanboying for SGC. It's just, if you have the same 20 to 50 graders, I have a feeling that your consistency is going to be locked in a little bit more. Where PSA, you just kept hiring and hiring and hiring, opening up a new facility. I mean, it goes beyond losing complete common sense. Like, how do you not see that? Like, it's mind blowing.
Well, one of the quotes, I'm going to mess up this quote, but one of the quotes that I kind of live by that I saw a long time ago was, every dollar you spend is a vote for the life you want to live. So if you are, know that when you're spending money with a company that you're not happy with, like, you're going to continue that cycle, and they're going to continue to make money off of it, and put your money toward where the life you want to live. Like I said, like I've always tried to live by that, because I think it's pretty poignant.
EP dropping wisdom.
But there's the argument, like, folks that don't approve of Walmart's business standards, right? But Walmart kind of has, like, PSA is kind of Walmart of the grading card companies, right? I mean, they're cheaper. You can get a product pretty quick from them. And I mean, where the value, I don't know if there's an equivalency in terms of the value of what PSA offers in, a card graded from them versus another company compared to Walmart. But in your the way you just said it, EP, is very true. I mean, a lot of people try and vote with their dollars with Walmart and not go in, but they're so big. They're too big to fail almost, right? So, and I think PSA has gotten to that point. They're just too big to fail that I don't ever see a situation where they're not the leader, the industry leader, and everyone's just kind of fighting each other for second place.
Well, speaking of Walmart, we've all seen the pictures of the Walmart shelves being stocked with retail product, Target as well. I know around here see a lot more retail product than we used to before. So, little debate was had in the YouTube hobby community this week about retail and what all this means. And I know, Joe, you were the one that brought it up to us, kind of a little back and forth. Dustin, the sports card dad, had a video about, collectors having their time now with retail. It's collectors' time to buy retail. And Ziggy No, who has his channel Collectors Chronicle, it's now called. Also, these are two of our favorite content creators, and seeing them have a little disagreement on this, I thought was pretty fascinating. So I thought maybe we could chime in a little bit about the situation. I'll let you take it from here, Joe.
Well, it's funny because as we were talking about this, we were texting. We had a pretty good back and forth about it, and I think you guys even thought I was just jagging around with you, saying, "Oh no, you've convinced me." Actually, you did convince me in that text exchange, because I will say I don't go to Walmart or Target. It's not a big philosophical reason. Just we go grocery shopping. It's our closer grocery store, right? So it's not really, I'm not avoiding anything for any sort of political statement, but I don't see what you guys see when you go out to those retail venues. I will say I do see stuff on Twitter quite a bit. People posting pictures. Oh, what should I get? Is there anything worth getting? And I'll look at pictures like that, and this is where I agreed with Ziggy, where he was saying, there isn't really very much good stuff. There's stuff to rip. There's definitely a lot of products on the shelves, but it just seems like it's the draft picks products, right? It's the leaf products. It's the products that a lot of folks, it might be a fun rip, but it doesn't hold the value of something like Select or Prism and those type products. So that's where I want to kick it to you guys, because you guys go out and actually you're the ones that have the retail obsession and the little bit of the itch, and you'll go out and buy some stuff. That's why I was curious what your thoughts were when you see pictures like that. Is there actually good stuff out on the shelves, or is it just the stuff that folks rip because they just want to rip something and they're not actually getting any value out of it? And does value actually matter at that point when you're buying something for 20 or 25 bucks?
Literally every one of those photos, I see something that I would buy if I was there. You know what I mean? Or if I had the money available and I wanted to buy some cards, literally every photo I see, I would buy something from it, because I'm a fan of ripping cards. I'm a fan. Like I had this text discussion with you guys last night. One of my quote unquote grail cards is a $1 Tiki Barber rookie card. Like yes, I'd like for my stuff to be worth money someday down the road, but you know what? The freaking Metal Universe Tiki Barber rookie card is a cool card. He's one of my favorite players of all time, and so I'm okay with that being worth $1. Like I'm okay with that. So the value part of it doesn't always play in for me. I just like cool stuff. I have some props that I set aside.
Always
with the props. We never bring props.
Archives baseball. There's a blaster box of Archives baseball. I have a blaster box of 2021 Allen and Ginter. I have some Gypsy Queen and stuff too. And I feel like that stuff that is for set builders, and like those. I mean, there are some hits and stuff in them, but they're for set builders, for people who like to look at a whole bunch of different cards. The Ginter, especially with all their oddball stuff, and that stuff will always have a place in retail, in my opinion, just because you're not going to get a $10,000 Kaboom refractor or Kaboom Prism, whatever card. But you're going to get some cool stuff. And there's an outside chance that, a good card here and there, but you're not buying it for that. You're buying it to rip it and to look at these cool cards and to have these cards of, favorite players and ducks and other things.
Yeah, I watched both of these videos a couple times, and like I said, big fans of both of their channels, and I respect both of their opinions. And I kind of feel like they weren't necessarily arguing the same things. Like there's a lot of gray area in there. It's not black and white. I'll start with Sports Card Dad's video. Like I feel like what he's saying is true. Like it is a good time for collectors, and there are a lot of people out there that like to rip packs. Like it's a fun thing to do. You can't afford to rip like Panini hobby stuff. You just can't do it. So there are a lot of people out there that for $30, $25 will buy a blaster box. Maybe they'll find a mega box for $50 that has an autograph, and they'll buy that. I don't think those kind of people have huge expectations of what they're going to pull out of it. I think for the most part, a lot of collectors are informed enough. Like Ziggy said that retail is crap. Absolutely. He's 100% right on that. And I feel like people know that, but it doesn't deter them from wanting to buy it. Like if you want to rip something, you're buying it knowing, like I bought the Prism WWE blasters. They're terrible, but it was fun to have it to open, Yeah. Like I don't think a lot of the people opening the retail have the expectation that they're going to get that, $10,000 card out of it. And I think that's where some of the disconnect between the argument back and forth is kind of made, because like true collectors, like Ziggy was saying, they want value. Some do, like some don't. Like it's not the same brush for both. Like EP, you buy retail, I don't think you're expecting to hit anything out of it, but it's fun to open. You can enjoy the base cards you get out of something, and not everybody's looking for the big hit. And if they're buying stuff, it is a great time for collectors. If you're a flipper, it's a terrible time, because you can no longer you can no longer just flip stuff. Go ahead, EP.
I think you can flip stuff. It's just you can't buy a box for $20 and sell it for $100 or $200. You know what I mean? Like you might be able to sell for $10 down the make an extra $10 on it down the road. So yeah, like the flip is like the ridiculous level of flipping was, I think, what drove everything to this crazy level. That's
and I got to be honest, I'll walk into, again, it's been a little while since sporadically I'll walk into a Walmart and I don't see things. Probably, when's the last time I was at Walmart? Probably like 3 months ago, and I didn't see anything. And I'm not saying anything that I didn't want to rip. I'm saying I didn't see anything. And like I'll look at some of those pictures, and this is where I will disagree with Ziggy, is that I think he mentioned like, oh, Chronicles is crap. I think Chronicles is one of the funnest rips. I don't personally rip it, but I love watching rips of Chronicle, regardless if it's retail or not. I mean, because what Chronicles does, I don't want to go on a whole tirade, is they take some of the sets that we liked back in the 90s and make them their base cards, like they're kind of insert kind of base cards, but you see the playoff momentum with the clear, the acetate. You'll see Crown Royal. You'll see like stuff that we liked in the 90s that they'll throw in as a lot of rookie cards in that set. The draft pick stuff I don't think is crap, because I hail to Pitt. I'd be ripping for fun to look for Kenny Pickett stuff. I mean, everyone has a different reason for wanting to rip retail. EP's reason is because he's an addict and we really need to get him some help. But other people, they just want to have fun. They want to have a quick rip. Mike, you even mentioned on the I'm all scatterbrained.
Yeah, he's
retail thing.
Fired up.
I know. You even mentioned in the text exchange we had that you get a lot of actual value out of the stuff, because you can get stack sale cards out of it. So, I mean, there's different values or different ways people perceive value when they see the certain products. But I will agree with him. I very rarely, and correct me if I'm wrong, I very rarely see the high-end hobby stuff, the selects, not the draft pick selects. I see a lot of that, but like the select, the Prism, things like that. I don't see a ton of that in those pictures that people are posting on Facebook.
I think there's more of it now. So like there's more NBA stuff.
There's
quite a bit more of it now.
I've seen a lot of Prism basketball. I've seen a lot of optic basketball. I've seen optic football, Prism football, select football. It is definitely easier to get this year at retail than it was before. Now, part of that is because they're raising the price. Like, they're charging $35 for a blaster that used to be $20.
But
quite
here,
different.
Listen, this has been brought up a couple times, but like going back to 2009, like you can even find you can stuff from 1998. You can find blaster boxes, retail boxes with $30 on the box. So I mean, that's been the same price. They've been charging the same price. They've been taking packs out of them. Obviously, some of the blasters from back in the day had way more packs. But I feel like the price point has been the same for so long. Meanwhile, the hobby prices, a lot of them have just been skyrocketing. So I feel like there's probably a time when retail should increase in price. And I mean,
I don't think now's the time though.
It's pretty funny though that it when people could buy them for 20 and flip them for 35 is the point in time where all of a sudden they went from 20 to 35. Like,
right.
I just, I think it's pretty clear that they're taking, they saw people buying all the retail product and going, you know what, we could just make that money ourselves. And that's clearly what they're doing. But yeah, like, I mean, some of the stuff that Ziggy was talking about, like, people are going to want this product a couple years down the road. And like, he's been doing this a little longer than Dustin, but like, from my perspective, going all the way back to the early 90s, I kind of see it a little different because I saw that period where they made tons of cards. And now, just in like the 2 years or so since we've gotten back into it, you can see how much more they're printing of it now. The stuff's available partially because there's more of it made. It's a little higher price, but like, I'm not so sure about the long-term hold on this stuff. Yeah, you might find somebody in 5 years, but like a lot of it too, like the NBA class was not as exciting. The NFL rookie class, not as exciting. So it's a combination of all the factors. Just get out of here, Kenny Pickett.
Kenny Heisman.
Yeah.
The thing is, even though, even from like 2020, I actually bought, I have to rip on the channel eventually when I get to it. I have a mega box, a hanger box, and a value like a fat pack of 2020 Chronicles football, which has Tua rookie in it.
Fun to watch.
Has a Tua rookie. Has a Tua rookie in it. Justin Herbert rookie, like that whole that class Joe Burrow rookie, like that. That's a really cool set. And I was like, oh, I wonder if this has gone up with Tua, going crazy. But I want to say it, like, if I tried to sell them now, I might make like $2 more than what I bought them for.
Yeah.
So even
That's
it's probably better to just get the cards out and hope you hit something.
Well, I mean, I also bought it because it's Chronicles and I want to open it too. So I mean, like that was part. I won a couple Justin Herbert rookie cards. So, and that's
in all seriousness too, Mike. I mean, you are right. 2020's draft class had 3 elite quarterbacks taken in the top 10. Last year's quarterback class, what was there, 5? Was Fields the 5th? I mean, but we're talking Justin Fields was the 5th quarterback or whatever taken in the draft. A lot of hype around that one. And even if Kenny Pickett turns into the next Dan Marino, he's only one player in that class. There was not the quarterback class that you're expecting. And you're right. That's why a lot of the stuff is going to end up staying on the shelves. Now, next year, when you have Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and I don't know enough about the NBA to understand who could be coming out on that, maybe you see a bump up in retail from people trying to get those, who was it, Will Lewis or Levis or whatever, you pulled one of his autos randomly. But like he'll be in a top 10 pick too. So I'm curious to see how it will affect the prices of retail then. But I'm with you. I mean, the time to raise those prices is not now, especially the card market overall being down. I don't know if you can raise retail to $45 from a $30 blaster, but it's definitely the companies trying to make the money that the secondary market was making last year.
I can't believe you swept aside Malik Willis like that.
Your 3rd round pick, Malik Willis, looked terrible. Yeah, I can. Was he a 3rd round? Did he even make it to the 3rd round? Was he a 4th round?
I think he was 3rd round, but he's not great.
Not great.
It's bad when Brock Purdy might be the 2nd best quarterback in the draft. We will find out today. A little later today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely a good discussion, but like I think there's just a lot of factors that go into it. But at the end of the day, who threw something at you, EP?
My stack of damaged cards tumbled on top of me. That's great.
You must have a lot of damaged cards.
They're screaming, "Sort us! Sort us!"
I've been stacking it up so it would fall eventually. I didn't know what happened live on air.
Yeah, that really means you need to get to those and like, do something with them. Okay, moving on.
Wait, before we move on from retail, I just want to say one more thing.
Okay,
Show
one more prop.
Both of my Bowman Chrome Trout rookie cards
are available. Just
one's available for sale.
Yeah,
one's available for sale. Okay. But they both came out of a retail product.
Nice. That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah, it was.
It was
a long time ago. You got that graded, right? I believe
it was like last month, probably, right?
No.
Like
have you gotten any bids on it on eBay? Oh wait, that's right. You didn't list it.
I don't do auctions.
I forgot. Yeah.
No bids on that one.
No bids or offers or anything. Okay, moving on. Collectors Universe and Goldin announced that they're opening up a new marketplace in January. Another place to sell cards. Imagine that. This time, I guess they're taking cards like $100 and up, but apparently you can list cards as low as $5 and accept offers. And for the first month, they're offering 8.3% fee for selling on there. Not bad. After the first month, it goes to 16.7%. Go ahead, Joe.
I mean, we called eBay Feebay. Holy crap. 16%.
What are you doing?
Ooh, I mean, don't you just... This is the first time that I've actually questioned something that Ken Goldin must need the money. It's the first time
He already got the money by selling his company.
That's
he's
true.
He's not really part of that.
It's the first time though I've seen a situation with PSA where it's like they did the wrong thing. Like, don't you come in whatever eBay's fee is and just come in under that? Right? Like you would think, and they tried to squeeze eBay.
They're Collectors Universe, right? Are we getting a theme to this show that they're bigger than the hobby apparently, and they can do whatever they want, and you'll deal with it because they're your favorite, right?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Luckily though, eBay still is a little bit of a bigger marketplace, and the fees are a little bit better, but yeah, it surprised me they didn't come in and try and undercut eBay, not just from the start, but just that should have been their model. Just let's undercut eBay and really just siphon sellers off of them. You know, what's the slab auction place? My Slabs.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a really, really low fee, but they can't get the traction because they don't have they have some name recognition in the hobby, but they're not Collectors Universe and PSA, right? And they're not Goldin. So they could squeeze them completely out of the market and squeeze eBay quite a bit if they just had those low fees.
Does those fees include like PayPal or shipping or anything, like any sort of benefit to pay the extra for a lesser marketplace?
Not really sure. I think that's all inclusive, but I don't really have that information.
Yeah, it's not worth it to me. I mean, you have less eyeballs and you have more fees. That sounds like
unless they don't want a lot of the eBay sellers on their they're trying to position themselves as like better than eBay, like higher class than eBay. I don't know.
Take away from like Heritage and those type of places, or
but why?
I mean, they already have the auctions like that for the vintage stuff and everything, but the actual marketplace, I just don't understand it. Let me throw this out there. There's a company I talk about eBay fees, like I sell cards on eBay, but I also sell musical instruments and parts for guitars and stuff. eBay charges like under 9% for the guitar parts that I sell on eBay. They charge 13% for the cards. There is another website that sells musical instruments and stuff like that called Reverb. They charge 5% and they have a 3% processing fee for the payments because all the payments and stuff are done through there. So, you know, that's why eBay's rates are down on musical instruments. They have a huge competitor and they're only charging like a total of 8%. If a company in musical instruments can charge, you know, 5% and a 3% processing fee, why in the hell does a card market, one of like what, 20 now, have to charge almost 17% for what you're selling on there? Like, I know your collector's universe, I know you're Goldin, but get over yourself. Like, I don't know. I don't understand it.
Do we think anybody's going to use it?
Somebody will, because
I think Northeast Ohio Cards and Comics probably will, right?
Very possible, yeah.
Or maybe, God, I wish it was like, so that Reverb place is lower than eBay's fees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they handle all the payment stuff too. Like, and they
I'm thinking to myself, man, if Collector's Universe came in and they were lower than eBay fees, then maybe eBay would have to compete with that and lower their fees and then kind of go back. It's not actual competition in the market. If one person is going to charge 13% and the other person is charging 16%,
is this going to make eBay raise their fees now?
Right? Is eBay thinking, well, now we can raise ours to 14%. People still use them. You know, 14, 15%. We're still underneath what this other company is. I mean, it's the opposite of competition. It's like they're saying to each other, hey, if we raise ours higher, you can raise yours higher, and we can kind of collude a little bit on this one. Yeah, people will use them though. People will.
You're going to give like half price fees for 1 month. Like what's the end game there? Okay, well, I'm going to use it, and then I'm going to be too dumb to realize that you're charging me twice as much after a month. Like, I don't know. Like,
it's like I get Showtime for free for a month.
Yeah,
and then I just forget to cancel it. You know,
I watch it, the whole back catalog, all the good stuff, and then cancel it, and wait till the next deal to get a month free.
Exactly.
Yeah, crazy. Okay, one last item today. We've been talking about the CSG 8 Mickey Mantle that's up for auction, the 52 Mantle. It ended up selling last night for a total of $1.253 million, a little bit under the price of what PSA 8 recently sold for. Apparently, it was a PSA 7.5 that crossed over to the CSG 8. So I've seen people commenting about it, how it's like a joke that CSG graded at an 8 and that there has to be something underhanded about it. Why would you take a PSA 7.5 and crack it out? Like, I don't know. Maybe they thought the grade was better than a 7.5.
Yes.
And they didn't want to go to PSA again. So they went to a different company that had a really experienced head grader grade the card. Right. I guarantee you that card is graded just as accurately as anybody at PSA can do it. CSG, I think the people were at Beckett from the start. So like they have highly experienced people looking at the cards.
And for people rolling their eyes when Mike just said they were at Beckett from the start, rolling their eyes thinking like, oh, Beckett. Beckett was the grader when both of these companies first started out. Beckett was the grader. If you had a Beckett 8, guess what? It was an 8. You know, they had consistent grading. They were the leader.
They were the market leader, yeah.
Yeah,
in the late 90s, early 2000s.
And I've also seen people saying, well, if the sale's legitimate, their theory is that, oh, the people involved with this just pumped up the CSG to make it look like here we are with the PSA fanboying, right? Like this whole episode, we're talking about that. Like maybe, just maybe, somebody who's willing to spend over $1 million for a card might be able to look at it themselves and go, you know what? This one's a little nicer than this one over here that was an 8 from this company.
Wait a minute. Are people buying the card and not the grade? What?
Oh, I
the card not the label?
If you're spending $1.2 million on a 1952 Topps, you better be buying the card and not the grade.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The people that are buying these are not like somebody who just doesn't know anything about cards. I guarantee you people that are willing to drop over $1 million for a card know something about what they're looking at, have seen probably multiple examples of it, and determine themselves, you know what, I like this one better than the other one, and I'll pay. Like, come on, just just stop with the crap. Like, I don't know. No other grading company is allowed to exist, I guess, you know? The same people complain when they get their cards back for PSA and the grades are lower than they wanted them to be, but they're still going to send them to them and not think twice about it. So
I mentioned it to you guys, and I failed to send you the link, but I just subscribed to someone's YouTube channel, and they had sent 40 PSA 9s, cracked them out, and sent them back to PSA.
That's awesome.
And they got 60% 10s.
wow.
Like, so again, the whole subjective objective thing, that's a whole other story. But yes, the person that had the 7.5 mantle probably looked at the 10 mantle that was on display at the National, goes,
this is
mine's
way better
not that much different than that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this getting a 7.5 and that's getting a 10? They decided to crack it. I wouldn't be surprised if CSG, maybe they were like recruiting someone with a mantle, saying,
yeah, very possible.
You know,
yeah.
and I'm not, and it's not like it's a CSG 10. It was a half grade higher. So let's all calm down about the conspiracy theories here. I'm sure it was accurately
if the same
graded.
person sent it to PSA and got an 8 on it, nobody would be
No one would
complain.
complain.
You know, all these people who you see all day long that crack their 9s and send them back in and get 10s, and they're perfectly fine with it, or they buy an SGC 4 and send it in and get a 9.
Get a PSA 9,
you know, like they're perfectly fine with it when it's in their favor. But if another company grades it a little higher, that company is terrible. Like, come on, let's just be a little more reasonable about everything. Like, you're going to have different eyeballs looking at it. They might have a slightly different opinion.
It's sports fandom at its worst, right? Like so I'm a Steelers fan. I stopped being a Steelers fan because of the Ben Roethlisberger stuff, right? But there are people who don't care about that. Oh, whatever he did, it doesn't matter. Now, if he was on another team, guess what? They would have like lambasted that other team for not cutting him or whatever. That's how I feel about PSA sometimes. It's like they could do everything wrong. We're cool with it, but if SGC or CSG or BGS did anything wrong, they would lose their minds. It's just,
it's a cult. It's almost like a cult.
Yeah.
The PSA cult.
Tribal America, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, sports fandom cults, kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Mike,
PSA grading.
Mike, you said the most poignant point in this entire podcast when you said, let's be reasonable, or let's just be reasonable, whatever it was. Like, you need to put the text up here. Maybe make it the headline of the actual podcast. Let's be reasonable. Let's be reasonable. Let's just be reasonable. That's it.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah. That's why we don't have 20,000 subscribers, because we try to be reasonable.
We're
not
reasonable.
out here throwing stuff out there to get. So. All right, guys, that was a good chat this week. My voice held up. Hopefully, you'll be able to.
Short prints should be interesting this week.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, guys, take care.
See you, boys.
Adios.